Greetings once again, my friends, and welcome back to Drak Reviews, where I take on another kind of remake, remaster, another little gem that came out in 2017, and that is the remake of Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap. So this is a remake. My Drak tries of this was kind of weird, and I didn't really explain too much stuff that I already did know, and for some reason I spaced on it. Wonder Boy: The Dragon's Trap is actually a remake of Wonder Boy 3, The Dragon's Trap, that came out for the Sega Master System. I believe that this remake was done via Kickstarter, and at that point was developed by Lizard Cube and published by .emu and brought into our awesome hands. Basically, it's a remake of the game, but in the usual remaster style of you can access the original gameplay, plus be able to have access to brand new artwork and re-experience the story all over again. And let's go ahead and get things started. First of all, with the story. The story, this is back in the 8-bit days where some games may have had a lot of story. Some of them didn't necessarily have too much, but this literally takes place right after Wonder Boy 2, where you're getting ready to face off against the final, or you're at least going to save the day, and then the evil Dragon King actually, in his last breath, curses our hero and turns him into a dragon, roughly, and he has to go through a journey all over again to be able to free himself from this curse. But every time he takes out a dragon-esque boss, he is then turned into something else. Starting with the dragon, you eventually get access to a little mouse knight, and then a murloc kind of knight, and then you get a lion knight, and I believe eventually like a griffin knight or something like that. I think that's what it is supposed to be. I'm not entirely sure, because the artwork kind of makes it not weird, but makes it look very unique. But yeah, that's the basic story. Like, you're trying to uncurse yourself, but at the same time, you're trying to save the day. And I didn't necessarily take too many points off of this, because the story isn't necessarily hindered by the remake process. So at that point, you are re-experiencing the game. You can experience it in the way it's originally intended, or you can experience it with all of this awesome new artwork. I believe the only difference here, and again, I didn't own a Sega Master System, so people have to clarify this for me. I played it once or twice. This one gives you the option to pick a male or a female hero. I don't think that was in the Sega Master System game, but correct me if I'm wrong on that one. Moving on into the visuals, that's the biggest part of this review, and obviously one of the best parts of this game is the remake. So I love the original Sega Master System graphics, don't get me wrong. I had a couple of play sessions where I did play in that, but the new original artwork is just glorious, and I wanted to have that up all the time as much as I possibly could, especially when I was recording footage, because it's glorious in how it looks, and I love that it looks like just a classic comic booky, manga-esque kind of style to it, as well as like some. The only way I know how to describe it is like it looks like an old school 80s kidsy kind of anime. And I really do love the style that they try to go with it, especially with even the backdrops. It looks awesome, and I cannot recommend this more visually than I am right now. I was really happy with how the visuals turned out to be. Moving on into the gameplay, there isn't much to say about it. Like, I took a little bit of points off just because it does feel a little bit more stiff than I remember, but we're talking 8-bit Sega Master System, so that's not necessarily a point against it. This is basically being given a new coat of paint, and it plays the way that it's supposed to play. The only reason I kind of gave it points down is that while that's nostalgic and awesome for somebody who's coming in who's coming in after playing it on the Sega Master System or is aware of it, giving this to my kid is probably going to be a little bit harder, because they're going to be wondering why, when they can play a Mario game that feels way more fluid, this one feels as stiff as it does. I understand that. I'm just saying, like, a younger audience isn't necessarily going to understand that, and really that's kind of the market that this is catering to, aside from nostalgia. And really, like, I would want to get this in more kids' hands just so that they could play it. And so I did take a little bit of points off, just because some kids are going to have problems with the stiff gameplay. It's just something to get over. Audio-wise, I don't have a problem with this one either. The new music that they've actually been able to give is a wonderful new rendition of all of the 8-bitty tunes that were coming out of this game. And I would actually dare say, like, the new audio actually kind of adds a new flavor to how this game can be played. It adds more nostalgia. It adds more of an RPG-esque vibe now. Whereas this is just kind of an action game. I actually did like how the music ended up and wanted to be able to get access to the soundtrack. I don't think I was ever able to track it down, but I do love like the village theme and even the boss theme is really good now. So I cannot recommend the audio more in that regard. And here comes the major problem with it, which is replayability and presentation. Replayability, for nostalgic gamers, there's no problem. Replayability, I think, is going to be an easy thing for them. I think they're going to pick it up whenever they want to just play something nostalgic, and it's going to work. Same thing with like other reviews that I've done this year of like Full Throttle Remastered or Master Blaster Zero. There's the nostalgia factor is going to bring you in. But like I said with the gameplay, a younger element is going to have some problems with how the gameplay plays out to be. I don't think the story or the audio or the visuals are going to be a problem. The gameplay certainly is. And at that point, it might just be a one-time play for them. And while that's a crying shame, because it is, that's going to be the way that they play it. And so there's not a whole lot of replayability there from my perspective. Presentation, does it all come together? Absolutely, and it comes together in a beautiful package. I cannot recommend this thing more, especially I gotta recommend this thing on the Switch because, like, for me, the Switch has become my personal nostalgia factory. Basically, anything that I can't get on the Switch goes to the PS4, and then everything nostalgic I get is on the Switch. Now, currently, you can get this, well, before I get on the price, this is why I have no problem giving Wonder Boy the Dragon's Trap an 8.5 out of 10. Solid B+ effort. Really great job by Lizard Cube and by .emu, the publisher, being able to get this all in our hands. Like I said, this is pretty much available everywhere. I think it was a limited availability when it came out, but now it's available on Windows, on Mac OS, Linux, PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, all places. And I believe the price for every one of them is $19.99. Is it worth that price? For me, it's an easy buy because a $20 game is hard to come by anyway, especially something like this. So I think it's well worth the $20. For those who are coming brand spanking new, if you can get it on sale, it's probably even worth that. Like if you can get it for like $14.99, it's still well worth it. But $20 is just not that bad compared to some of the other games you've paid $60 for this year and probably been disappointed. And that's going to go ahead and do it for my review. Thank you guys so much for watching. And of course, I'll be back for the next review.